this point I want to talk about some integrationist and the psychological school. And I'm kind of going to go from left to right to sort of ease into it because it transitions well from the traditional schools. Starting with the culturally relevant, culturally relevant, integrationist, and then psychological, the Jungian tarot there. So with the culturally relevant postmodern, here in this card we have it almost looks very Golden Dawnish, doesn't it? I mean, we have Set here thrusting swords into the body of a bound. It's hard to see maybe, but his wrists are tied, and so it looks his legs as well. Osiris, so he's killing his brother. Overkilling, actually, is what that's called, when you use way more force than necessary. Overkill of his brother. And in the background is the wife, Isis, and she is calling on the power of the sun, resurrection power, to, even though her husband is being killed now and the Nile is lapping and eating him up. In this idea here, they bring out the concept, and they do call the card ruin, so they're very straight to the point and blunt. And the idea is you do explore with the querent about it is as bad as you think, and it is awful, but after the rain or after the night comes the sun, the dawn. It's right there. It's kind of hard to see. It's also in her headgear. There's the sun as well. There's a solar quality on Isis, actually, even though you could think of her as very lunar because of the female. Again, that means we have to be flexible with our appropriation of other people and respectful. New Age can be very culturally imperialistic of other people's religious beliefs, even if they're cultural, like say Egypt has become much more Islamic. We still need to be respectful, and especially with a postmodern deck. And so anyway, but the idea is you explore with someone about, yes, it is that bad, but now we do have to go up. So this is much more the rock bottom part of there was sort of three pieces with the traditionals: rock bottom, victim, and martyr. So here it explores that part, the Lord of Ruin, much more straightforward, especially with maybe Set as the Lord himself of Ruin. Moving into the Sacred Rose Tarot, we have here is for Gargilio Sherman, all the 10s are both solar and lunar, and what it is the 9 was about consciousness, 10s are about completion, and so the idea is now the sun and the moon conspire together to ask you about this incredible gift that you've received in the form of awareness. You've received the consciousness, you've had the epiphany, now what do you do with it? It's very much an action-based card, application, the 10s. And so for her, even though this has sort of a garish thing, and I don't like some of her interpretive statements or phrases, I think her description is much more powerful and helpful. And so it does retain the word ruin, and it's the idea is the tree of life, which is the symbol that chases throughout all the deck, is beyond salvation. The blood eagerly drinks up the ground, eagerly drinks up the blood, very reminiscent of Cain and Abel. Abel, his blood is eagerly gobbled up by the ground in the story. And there's almost a hungry kind of moon that is consuming as well in the background. And the idea is it is the end. And that means it is putting to end, putting to death almost. I've used that with people. Someone asked if they could complete a very strong educational goal within a year. And I got this card and I said to them, you need to kill things in your life if you want that. You need to kill TV, you need to kill distractions, you need to kill anything but very essential and important family relationships and romantic relationships you are presently engaged in. Don't go seek them. And then you can get it. But you're going to have to kill things. Remove. Say no to the good and yes to the better. That's why they say, if you meet the Buddha, kill him. Going on, so the idea here is putting to end things that do not help. sort of a similar vein with the Rumi Tarot. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a ruined palace, and the phrase is, under the ruin there is a royal treasure. And so there's an idea is that when you come to the end, the sort of the rock bottom, and you realize what is of value, and putting aside things that hold you back, a shell, the materialism, being too caught up in that, or judging a book by its cover. The idea is that you look at the ruin and say that's worthless, when in fact there is something of great value there that hopefully you do not blow by too quickly. The most warm and fuzzy of the 10s that I've ever seen comes the Jungian Tarot. For some reason that is Saturn in Libra, and related also to the World card. And somehow Saturn in Libra for Wang, and I know he knows better, somehow that equals gain through partnerships. So by getting along with people such as your romantic partners, business partners, etc., you move forward in the world. That I have the hardest really seeing. I mean, that has a lot of good freight if you're working with people, but it's the most off color of the range of meanings that I've come across yet. So that is kind of tricky. And Saturn in Libra there's a card, Saturn in Libra. We all know what that is, right? It's one of my favorite cards, actually. It's the Three of Swords. Sorrow. So how does sorrow become gain in partnership? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so this is culturally relevant, postmodern, integrationists, kind of weaving into this. It sort of gets better to ultra happy, happy, joy, joy, almost, with Ren and Stimpy kind of stuff. So there you have it, moving along in that direction. So now we'll finish up with assistance-based, which kind of explains how these things got there.